Greetings. My name's Terry Ingram. I'm a former Florida police officer from South Florida, and this video contains valuable information on how to respond during any encounter with law enforcement or any government officials whatsoever. This includes code enforcement, FBI, your local police department, the sheriff's department. I'm sure, as most of you are aware, we live in a police state, and the only weapons we have at our disposal are redress of grievance through the court systems. I'm sure many of you are of the mindset that our court systems are corrupt. I'm here to tell you that they certainly are in some instances, but for the most part, if you understand the rules and you follow the procedure, you're going to get good results from using the legal system. There are certainly bad judges out there, and there are certainly good judges out there. But we also have access to the appellate courts, and we still have a chance to do something about taking back our country. And that starts with understanding your rights and understanding government's limitations and what government's sole purpose is, which is to protect our liberties, protect our right to contract, etc. And basically stay out of our way. I'm sure most of you are aware that it's just the opposite. Government's encroaching on our lives more and more every day. So this video contains valuable information on how to respond during any police encounter, whether it's a traffic stop, whether you're on the street and a police officer decides he wants to question you, whether it's a code enforcement officer, it makes no difference. There's a specific way to handle all of these encounters, and if you follow these rules, you won't fall into the 90 percentile rule group, which simply means that 90% of all criminal and quasi-criminal convictions come from the arrestee's mouth. We have to learn what the Fifth Amendment says, and what it means is to keep our mouths shut. Now, the following statement, when you're confronted by an official, is probably the single most statement that you can absorb. It turns any investigation pointed at you and puts the burden back on the official or the law enforcement or police officer or whoever it might be. And that question is, in response to any question they have for you: how fast were you driving? What are you doing? Do you have any drugs or weapons or dead bodies or bags of cocaine in your car? The response to that, or any of those types of inquiries, is what is the nature of your investigation. That simply means that as government, the officer is required to articulate his suspicion of your criminal activity. Otherwise, you have no responsibility to respond to him whatsoever. Now, there's 3 specific rules when confronted by government. Besides the question of what is the nature of your inquiry, the first rule is to don't say anything. The second rule is to keep your mouth shut. And the third rule is to shut up. Learn how to breathe through your nose with your lips closed. For example, that's how to respond. Now, almost all of the evidence that's ever going to be used against you to convict you in a criminal action is going to be furnished by you. If the officer had enough information to incarcerate you, he would simply put the handcuffs on you, put you in a police car, and downtown you'd go. They're asking you questions to get you to make admissions or confessions. When a police officer asks you if he can search your vehicle, the answer is no, you may not. Not why do you want to, or I don't feel like it. It's no, absolutely no. Now, if the officer asks you questions about why you don't wish to let him search your vehicle, your response is because you don't have a Fourth Amendment search warrant on your person, and I don't want you involved in my private affairs, period. And if they ask you if you have any guns or drugs or whatever the case on you, ask them the nature of their inquiry. Are you conducting a criminal investigation? If you're conducting a criminal investigation, then I'm going to invoke my Fifth Amendment rights not to speak with you. So do what you have to do and permit me to go about my business. Now take the position from the beginning of any investigation that your case is going to eventually be decided by the United States Supreme Court. Of course, it actually necessarily won't be, but you take that position by establishing facts that don't give the officer rise to consider what you are saying is acquiescence to his search. If he starts to search your vehicle, tell him stop searching my vehicle. Now obviously you can't stop him from doing anything he doesn't want to stop doing. However, I guarantee you, if you tell him to stop searching your vehicle, or tell him not to search your vehicle, or tell him to get away from my vehicle, then he's going to stop. Unless, of course, he has probable cause to search, which would be under a condition where the officer had a view of contraband openly and notoriously apparent inside your vehicle. Under those conditions, he does not need a search warrant. Now, what would happen, for example, if a police officer came up to you and he had a dog that was trained in sniffing drugs, marijuana, cocaine, dead bodies, whatever he was trained in doing, and the dog alerted to the presence of some contraband, like cannabis, for example? Or what if he comes up to your window and you roll it down and billows of smoke come out of your car and it's cannabis? Does that give him a right to search your car? The answer is unequivocally no. Those things may give rise to probable cause to go get a search warrant. The dog alerting to the presence of marijuana or cocaine or whatever he's alerting to may give the officer rise to go get a search warrant. None of those conditions give him the right to conduct a search without your consent. Watch all of these cop shows and you'll find that 99.9% of all these people who are stopped, the policeman asks, do you have any drugs or anything in your car? Do you have any contraband? And you'll find many of them, after a little bit of questioning by the police going, yeah, I've got a little pot in my car, yeah, I got some in my glove box, etc. It's absurd. Stop making admissions and confessions. Answer their questions with, what's the nature of your inquiry? If they believe you have some contraband in your vehicle, ask them to articulate their suspicion of your criminal activity. The United States Supreme Court has stated that a police officer must articulate his suspicion of your criminal activity before he can even proceed under the doctrine of probable cause. And even proceeding under that doctrine only gives him ultimately the right to go and get a search warrant. There is no condition whatsoever that he has the right to search unless it's with your consent. And if you watch all, like I say, if you watch all these police shows, you're going to see that the vast majority of them simply cave in. The cop says, what do you got to hide? And the suspect will say, well, I just don't want you to search my vehicle, and you know, I just really don't want to give you permission. And you see the police officer browbeat the suspect into giving his permission. The answer is, what part of no don't you understand? I don't want you around me. I don't like you. I don't want you in my face. And I don't want you to deprive me of my liberty. Now articulate your suspicion of my criminal activity. Give me a citation, whatever it is you're here to do, and go about your business, and I'll see you in court. That's your response. Now, when defending yourself, prepare yourself to accept nothing short of total victory or total defeat. You're either going to knock me out, or I'm going to knock you out, rhetorically speaking. Don't give up that position. If you want to stop the state bullies from bullying you and your friends, you have to learn how to say no. I don't want you in my life. I don't want to answer your questions. I don't want you around me, and I want you to release me as soon as your official business is concluded. If that's a citation or whatever the case may be, fine. Example, sir, do you know how fast you were going? What's the nature of your inquiry, officer? Well, I just want to know if you know how fast you were going. Are you conducting an investigation? Yes, I am, the officer says. Are you asking me to make an admission or confession? Well, then he realizes that's exactly what he's doing. And if he says, yes, I'm asking you to, you say, well, I'm not going to give you an admission or confession. If you have reason to believe that I was speeding, issue me the citation, and I'll see you in court. And that's another thing we have to stop doing. No matter how unreasonable it seems to you, we've got to start going to court for every single ticket, every single parking ticket, every single criminal issue you're compelled to in a criminal case. We have to start clogging up these court systems so the money is taken away from the system. They count on 98 or 99% of us pleading out or paying our citations. If just 3% of the people in this country would plead not guilty, I don't care if you're guilty or not, just plead not guilty, go to court, demand a trial, the system would shut down. It would be overloaded, and it would cease to exist.